Thanks so much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is called Joshua Halwala. I'm welcoming you tonight for our basic HTML training. And with us, Code Plus Uganda. We love you so much and thank you for joining us. And before we dive into the tech, I would like, first of all, to start by appreciating your efforts in learning coding. This is a very great opportunity that you've gotten to learn coding, and I'm willing to help you hold, and I'm willing to motivate you and encourage you to do your best as you learn coding. Without wasting a lot of time, we shall only run these sessions for not more than 1 hour, but we shall basically have a lot of practical work and a lot of other work which will come amidst it. And just get ready. If you're logged in without your PC, probably you need a personal computer so that you can be running with us. Coding, we need to really go together. In case you're stuck, you can always alert me. And not only that one, after the sessions, if you still feel you're not comfortable with what you have done, you can also still reach on me. We shall discuss one-on-one and I can guide you more. I think let's dive in tech right now. So basically today we are introducing a basic. This is for the beginners. And I would like to, first of all, before we dive into much of the practicals, we always have to take on a full consideration of the theory and learn much of the theoretical part of it, as so that when we reach practical, we are not always left behind. So let's dive in today. We are introducing HTML as our markup language. And HTML basically stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and is a computer language. When I talk of a computer language, I'm basically talking about that language, that word that you can actually communicate with a computer using. It's just like I have a friend in Zambia, and I can communicate to the person using English. So that common language, that language that me and the person can understand, English is just like the way I can communicate with my friend in Zambia is the same as the way you can communicate to a computer. A computer is a machine and you're a human being. So how do you communicate with the computer? You always communicate using what we call the computer language. So hypertext or HTML is one of the computer language that you can always actually use to communicate with the computer. I hope we are right there. So how do you communicate with this language? Basically, when I'm to open a HTML here and I write up something, if the person has not maybe been interacting with those languages, the person may not understand, but the computer will understand. And the person who knows the language will also understand. Just like I said, bonjour, somebody who knows French will actually say bonjour, okay? But somebody who doesn't know French will actually just laugh at me like, you guy, what are you talking about? You understand? So there's also that basic language that a computer will understand and a human being can understand. But it is for those ones who understand. Now, as you're doing a software development, meaning you are now trying to learn the language that can help you communicate with the computer. So basically that is a computer language. Now, in just similar way, we cannot say bonjour. There's always that, how do you write bonjour? Okay? Because somebody who doesn't know the language will also just type anything. That is why we're saying HTML file equals to text file containing markup tags. So we always communicate to computer using hypertext markup language, basically using what you call the tags. For example, this is one of the example of the tags. P, handle bar, handle brackets with a P inside. That is one of the tags that we can use. Then we also have tags that tell the web browser to display the pages. So it is just the way the computer communicates, it's just the language. If you just write angle bracket with the P inside, the computer automatically will understand that you are communicating that I have to put this practical. So for example, P stands for paragraph. And a computer will just understand that, oh, they want to put a paragraph at this particular point. Now, what does it take for you to start using this markup language? For example, we have Word, Microsoft Word. If you are saving Microsoft Word, it will give you a file extension, which is .doc. When you go to PowerPoint, we'll give you a file extension file, which is PPT. If you go to maybe, let me say, Excel, will also give you file extension. So the same way, for a computer to understand that you want to communicate with it using HTML, you must also have that file extension. Now, for example, for HTML, you can use .htm or .html. And that is how the computer will actually understand that, oh, this person is communicating to me using HTML. Okay, let's move to the next slide. We're giving example of more. I'm running very fast, but I hope you understand, okay? So we always use angle brackets surrounding the tags. Now, when we write a tag, for example, we wrote here angle brackets P. This one means paragraph. Now, what another thing is, for you to communicate using the tags, it must have the opening and the closing. So for the opening, when you are opening a tag, you'll put without a slash. But when you come to ending of the tag, it must have the slash within the angle brackets. Now, stuff between the elements content, tags are not case sensitive. Remember, when we talk of case sensitive, now here, what we're trying to mean, the case sensitive meaning, when you write in uppercase, will it the computer refuse? No. When you write in lowercase, will the computer refuse? No. So that is why we're saying it is not case sensitive, meaning you can open with the uppercase and you close with the lowercase, and the computer will still work with it. Just like when I say my name is Joshua, when I write in lowercase, you can still interpret it. When I write my name is Joshua in capital, you can still interpret it the same way. Computer can also understand the same way. Can also understand that you're trying to communicate that this tag is meaning paragraph, whether you write in lowercase or uppercase. I think we are right there. We can proceed. Now, okay, it's just trying to continue explaining the same thing. Lowercase for tags equals to new standard. This is the same thing, okay? Now, this is one of the structure. Or how does HTML look like? Okay, you create an HTML document. Now, this one we shall do it practically. Basically, we have to see this. Okay, now when you look at this, you must open. These are what we're calling the tags, because anything that is surrounded by the angle brackets will always be the tags. Now, we have the HTML here. This is the first tag that we have. Then we have the head. Now, specifically, standard, a website, because we say that HTML helps us in developing a website. Now, standard, a website has two parts. That is the head and the body. Now, the head and the body, those are two different parts that a website will always consist of. Now, basically, HTML does one amazing work for us. That is bringing out the layout, bringing out the structure of the website. Now, when we talk of the structure, it's the same as the layout. How is our website going to look like? The website must have a title, which we have the tags here. A website must have the head, that is the heading and the like. The website must have the body. Though the developers has always come to notice that most of the development of a website comes in three parts. That is the header, the body, and the footer. I want you to give you as an assignment, when you get free time, just search randomly several websites and you realize that most of them have the header, have the body, and have the footer. So that is basically how the current layout. But in the HTML, always give us the two parts automatically as a standard. Okay, meaning if you have your two parts of a website is okay. If you have the CD parts of the website is okay. okay? But not only a flat website without those division. We must have those division. Now, what is a layout? Now, we say that when you communicate using this language, it must have the opening tag and the closing tag. Now, what we're seeing here is what we're calling the opening tag. And you will realize that when we open this tag HTML, it will have a closing somewhere. Are you seeing this down here? Now, this is what we're calling the closing tag. If we have the head, we must have the closing of the head. If we have this tag of the body, we shall have the closing of the body. I think we shall do these things practically when we reach where how you communicate, how you connect, how can you make sure that the thing is going to open with the browser. Let's go to the next step. Okay, now this is, I think, where we shall go practical and we really see it. I think, okay, we shall still continue because we have to reach how do you save your work. That is when we shall go and do these things practically. But in every website that you're going to build, in every HTML code that you're going to write, we shall realize that the first line of our code will be dot type HTML. Okay, we shall have dot type HTML. This one automatically will communicate to the web browser that you are opening, okay, you are opening your page using HTML. Okay, so that is why we're saying that the first line of the code always do a declarations of the version of the HTML. So this one basically will actually signal to the web browser that, oh, what you're trying to open, you're going to open it from the HTML file. And it will be having an extension file of .html or .htm. Okay? No. So this is basically the major importance of your HTML codes. If you don't have, I don't know, but the first line of your code must contain type HTML. That is also a tag and will have the opening, but will not have the closing. Then the next things will always have the HTML. Now, this is the container of the document. Immediately after type HTML, you'll have HTML, which is having the opening tag. And in the middle of this, we shall have the title, which will also have the opening. Now, I will show you what does the title does, okay? In our next slide or the incoming slides, we shall always see what does this title means. When you write a title in your work, what does it mean? It always comes with automatic title, but what you can actually customize it to what exactly do you need, okay? So this is what we're going to see now, and then we shall have the next slide. Now this next slide, I want to explain to you what does the title means. Now if we go back, okay, if we go back here and we see in the middle of the title, when you open your title code, I hope all of you are seeing my screen. When you have this title, you open the tag, what you write between is just exactly what will appear on your browser. Now, this is the home page of a website. This is actually a website already designed and it is being opened in a web browser. I want you to see it carefully. This is the home page. That is why you're seeing this arrow. This is the home page and it is open on a web browser. If you check on the web browser, it's written University of Howard at Mana Library. Now, this is what the person was developing. Oh, this is the person, this is what the developers wrote as the title. So what you write on the title, when you open your website on a browser, it will actually declare or it will read on top what you had written on the title. That is why it is very important to have this title. What you write between this title tag, it is what that will be actually displayed when your website is open on a browser. Oh, all of us are clear with this one. We shall demonstrate practically before we finalize this class for today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, after this one, we shall go straight and sample, and this may be the last lesson of our today. So let me just hurry up, finish up this one, then we shall go and open and do these things practically of all what we have been talking about today. Now we have other tags. basic tags. One of them is H1, H1, we have to H1 up to H6. Basically, these are titles. H1 is the largest or is the biggest title. I don't know how I can say like this, but the more down or the higher you go, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, the smaller the title or the smaller the wordings becomes. H1 is basically used for writing titles. And they are used for writing title. Let me say, for example, or Uganda, maybe you're writing a national anthem and you write, or Uganda, you write H1. The biggest title will be H1. The smaller, the higher you go with the H, the lower or the smaller the figure will become. We shall see this practically just in a few minutes from now. So another tag that we shall always use, and we already seen it before, is angle bracket with the P. This one is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. This one basically will mean paragraph. We're going to insert a space and after the paragraph, okay? When you put cap P in a angle bracket, meaning we shall have the paragraph in the next, or meaning the content or the container is having one paragraph in the middle. Hope you get me right there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want us to be just meandering. Let us dive in straight away to do some magical practicals right now. Allow me to open my things in both sides so that we can actually see what I'm trying to demonstrate. Actually, here. Aha, but I think this may not be good for me. Allow me to first of all go to desktop because I want us to start. Don't mind of these things. These are already my other project which was already running on HTML. Now, let us start from crash. Let us start from crash. Now, this is my desktop. This is your desktop. This is my desktop, and it can also be your desktop. What we're going to do, we're going to open up what we call a folder. Okay, I'm going to go to open a folder. I'm going to create a new folder. Now, let me say this new folder is called I want to take you with these things practically. My first project, okay? Now, we already have a folder here on the desktop, which is my first folder. Okay, the name of the project is, my first project. Now, what you're going to do after opening this, hoping all of you already have downloaded Visual Code Studio on your desktop. For me, I have mine. If you have not yet downloaded, probably you'll follow in the next video. We shall show you, I will demonstrate to you how can you install, because that is when now we shall start the practicals. For this one, I just want to show you, I want to show you what it means to have, or what it means by the tags and the HTML code tags that we have been showing. So the next class, we shall basically be practical. And before we go into the real class, we shall first of all go on the process of downloading. So for today, if you don't have, please don't worry, but you can download later and follow up on still this video. So what I'm going to do, I've already created a folder, which is my first project, and I'm going to my Visual Code. I'll open my Visual Code. Now, I'll open my Visual Code. Already have something already opening. Okay. It's opening right here, right now. I'm sorry for these delays. My computer is a little bit slow, but don't worry, it will dive us in practical right now. This is what I know. Okay, this one has already been opened. We already have our HTML here, our Visual Code already open here, okay? Let me first maximize it here. Now, what you're coming to do, you're coming to File. When you come to File, we're going to open the folder because we want to look for the our folder, which is already on the desktop. So what you do, open folder. Immediately you open, click on a folder, it will give you this. Then we already have our folder which is on the desktop. We're going to open on the desktop. We are going to look for my first project is here. Okay. After clicking on it, I will say select the folder. Now, what is now going to open basically is going to open our folder. You can see my first project. Now, Okay. Now what you're going to do, you come here, you had a file. Now let me say my file is project one, project one. But remember, we said every file that you create and you want to create on HTML must have a file extension of .html. So I'm going to say project one .html. This one to allow the browser to understand that the versions of what is going to open is going to open a version of HTML and the browser will actually accept to open. I think I should minimize this so that we can actually practice these things here. So that we do things that we are going to see both theoretical part and the practical part of it all. Okay. Okay. Let me just maximize here. Let me see what I can do for now. Let me see what I can do for now. Okay. Let me see what I can do for now. Okay. All right. Now, I want us to remember. Let me take you down here, back here. Okay, this is good for me. This is good for me. Now we can check on this slide. Let's check on this slide. I want us to be on this slide here. I'm very sorry for this. Okay, this is the one. This is the one. This is the one. Oh, can't you imagine? My thing is lost, but don't worry. I'm gonna get it soon. Don't worry. Okay, my HTML is back here. Okay. Now, let us just dive in practicals, and as we see, I wanted us to be following the things, but the way it is misbehaving is behaving like what happened in 1997 when I was not yet born, and many of you were also not yet born. And that is how it is misbehaving. It is misbehaving like 1997 when we were not yet born, and most of us were not yet born. But I hope you are seeing what I'm trying to do. Okay. That is what we call technology is always bad at us. Okay. Now, let us hurry. Okay. Now, remember the first thing, we have to put the angle bracket and we shall have dot type. Now, the beauty with all visual code will always guide you, okay? Immediately you type something, it will always pop up and guide you as a programmer. You don't need to now really type everything. But in our next class, I will also show you that we also have other text editors like Notepad, Notepad++, HTML, Sublime. We have all those text editors and you can feel free to use, okay? But I've chosen this just to demonstrate purposely for this one. But the next time we shall install Visual Code in our computers, I'll also inform you on how you can also install other text editors so that you can find one which is good for you, so that you can always be using and at your comfort time. You know, the most important things with the coding is doing what you like. When you're doing what you like, trust me, you will also like coding. So we are now going to say open angle bracket. We already see her. So this one here. So we say this one basically will help us in instructing the browser that what you're going to open it in HTML. Then it's telling us that the next things that we have is HTML. Now, we're going to use, now, if you see that in Visual Code, it is giving half the opening and the closing tag automatically. Now, the next things that we're going to have, I'm following this one. The next thing that we're going to have is the head, And in the head, we're going to have what we call the title. We're going to have title. And I said, title is that thing that will actually display on your project when it's already open on the browser. So let's say this is our title is my first project, This is our title. Now, after the head, we're going to have what we call the body, which is going to contain our. So we said, let us test this first tag, H1. Okay. Now, we say that H1, if you write in H1, automatically you will have a bigger figure. Okay. Or the letters will be in big sizes. Now, still, I will say the topic is, or the heading is my first project Castwell. Okay. Now, I want us also to demonstrate how to use P. We're going to say angle bar P. Okay. Angle brackets, and then we shall have P, and I will say my first project. Oh my God, this spelling. My first, yeah, even a kid can laugh at me. Okay, my first project is the best project in the coding session with the code plus UG. Okay. Now, this is the first paragraph that we are going to have. This is what we have typed so far. Okay. This is what we have typed so far. Do you know that we can now open this on a web browser? Because we already indicated to the browser that what you're going to open it in HTML. And we have given also the layout, a clear layout of how the website will look like. If you think I'm lying, I just want to right click here. I go to open this with a live server and tell me whether it will not open. Okay, I want us to see how these things will look like in our website. At least we shall have our heading, which is my first. Oh, it's so sharp like this, already opening. Am I telling lie? It's already here. My first project is the best project in coordination with the coding plus UG. Now, I want you to read. If I'm to close my funny things, which I already had here, I'm going to first, hey, these things should first respect these sessions, okay? Now we already have, I told you, what you write on the title is what will appear on top of your browser. You see, it is reading my first project. So this is what we read in your browser. Now, I want us to go to this page. I want us to test how will the figures or how will the words look like when we continue to maybe say H2, and I will just copy this. I want us to copy this up to, they say this up to H6. So my first project in H2, we shall see in H3, okay? Let me copy and paste, just copy and paste in H4. Okay, I'm copying and pasting. I'm not doing any magic here. H5, I'm copying and pasting. H6, I'm copying and pasting. Now, I want us to see, these are different headings, but head one will always have a bigger size. Let us open it. We have here in our browser. Just come here to the browser and see. How it's seeing is, this is H1, this is H2, this is H3, this is H4, this is H5, and this is H6. So the higher you go with the H is the smaller your words will become, okay? Meaning if you need a title with a bigger or with a bigger letters, then you actually have to use H1. If you need at least some medium, you'll have to use H2, like that, until you have your smallest letterings, okay? So I think for today, we have basically doing now the recap. Today we have talked about how do you launch up your HTML codes. What are the requirements? You have to know that the first line, you have to know the structure. It must have the head, the title, you must have the body, and all of them should be having both the opening tag and the closing tag. We also realize that we also have those HTML. How do you prepare? How do you save it? You must have the file extension, which is .html. Then, if you open a folder, you must create in a file, and that file must have the file extension .html. And we also realize that HTML also stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And before I conclude, HTML is not a programming language, it's just a markup language. In our next class, I want you to do a research. What is the difference between a markup language and a programming language? And what are the example of markup language and what are the example of programming language? I want also to tell me what is the use of markup language and what are the uses of programming language? And then the last assignment is you should also do a research. Why is that HTML is not a programming language, but it is just a markup language?